Welcome to the 18-plus horror podcast. Stories too dark for the daylight. If you're brave enough, like and subscribe before it finds you.
Welcome to 18-plus horror podcast. Tonight, we delve into the unsettling story of the Hinterkaifeck Murders, a case shrouded in an almost impenetrable fog of mystery and dread. Imagine this, a remote farmstead in Bavaria, 1922. 6 people brutally murdered with a pickaxe, their lives extinguished in a frenzy of violence. But the truly disturbing part, there's evidence that the killer remained on the farm for days after the massacre. They fed the cattle, ate food from the pantry, and even slept in one of the beds. This wasn't a quick, impulsive act. This was methodical, almost ritualistic. And to this day, the identity of the perpetrator remains unknown, leaving behind a chilling legacy that continues to haunt the annals of true crime.
It's a case that defies easy explanation. The family, consisting of Andreas Gruber, his wife Cäzilia, their widowed daughter Viktoria Gabriel, her 2 young children Cäzilia and Josef, and the maid, Maria Baumgartner, were found in their barn. What makes this even more unsettling is that the previous maid had abruptly quit 6 months prior, claiming the farm was haunted. She spoke of unexplained footsteps in the attic, strange noises in the night, and an overall sense of unease. Was this a premonition? A warning? Or was she somehow connected to the events that would later unfold? These questions linger, adding another layer of complexity to an already baffling case. The isolation of the farmstead, nestled miles from the nearest village, only amplifies the horror. It paints a picture of vulnerability, of being trapped with an unseen predator.
The timeline of the murders is particularly perplexing. It's believed that the family was lured to the barn one by one, starting with the grandfather, Andreas. Then, the killer likely made their way into the house, dispatching the rest of the family. Little Joseph, just 2 years old, was murdered in his crib. The brutality inflicted upon these victims, coupled with the killer's apparent comfort in remaining on the scene, suggests a deeply personal motive, perhaps even a twisted sense of ownership over the farm. The fact that footprints leading to the farm were found in the snow, but none leading away, further underscores the isolation and the sense that the killer simply vanished into thin air.
And the details, they're almost too gruesome to recount. Each victim was killed with blows to the head, likely from a mattock, a type of pickaxe. The killer then meticulously covered the bodies with hay. Adding to the macabre scene, someone had continued to tend to the farm animals and even prepared meals in the farmhouse kitchen following the murders. The fire in the stove was kept lit, suggesting the killer lingered for several days, almost as if taunting the authorities. The motive, as you mentioned, remains elusive. Robbery seems unlikely, as valuables were left untouched. Was it a family feud? A crime of passion? Or something far more sinister? Something that defies rational explanation? These unanswered questions continue to fuel speculation and nightmares, ensuring the Hinterkaifeck murders remain a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places.
The year is 1922. Picture a remote farmstead nestled in the desolate, snow-dusted fields of Hinterkaifeck, Germany. Isolated, several kilometers from the nearest village, the Gruber family resided there. Andreas, the patriarch, his wife Cäzilia, their widowed daughter Viktoria, and her 2 young children, Cäzilia Jr. and Joseph. Also present was Maria Baumgartner, the newly hired maid. This seemingly ordinary family, in this unremarkable location, became the focal point of a horrific and unsolved crime that continues to baffle investigators and fuel chilling speculation almost a century later. What makes Hinterkaifeck so disturbing isn't just the brutality of the murders, but the unsettling prelude, the subtle signs that something was terribly wrong in the weeks leading up to the massacre. It's a slow-burn horror story etched in reality.
It's the kind of case that burrows under your skin, isn't it? The isolation, the sense of creeping dread. Days before the murders, Andreas Gruber reported strange occurrences to neighbors. Footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the farm, but none leading back. He found an unfamiliar newspaper in the house, and the house keys went missing. He even heard footsteps in the attic. He dismissed these as mere anomalies, unfortunate events in an otherwise quiet life. But these seemingly insignificant details, viewed in retrospect, become chilling portents of the impending doom. The family unknowingly was living with their killer, sharing their home with an unseen presence, days before their lives were violently extinguished. It's a terrifying thought, the idea of a predator lurking so close, unseen, unheard, until it's too late.
Absolutely. And the timeline of the murders themselves adds another layer of unsettling mystery. It's believed that the family was lured to the barn one by one and killed, starting with the youngest, Josef, then his mother, Viktoria, followed by the elder Cäzilia, and finally, Andreas. Imagine the terror they must have felt, witnessing their loved ones brutally murdered before meeting the same fate. The killer then entered the house and murdered the maid, Maria, and little Cäzilia Jr. in her crib. What's even more disturbing is the evidence suggesting the killer remained on the farm for several days following the murders. Someone fed the cattle, ate food in the kitchen, and even slept in one of the beds. This wasn't a frenzied attack and escape. This was methodical, calculated, and utterly chilling.
The motive, or lack thereof, is perhaps the most perplexing aspect of this case. Robbery seems unlikely, as valuables were left untouched. There's speculation of a possible family feud, a love affair gone wrong, even whispers of the occult. Some theories point to Carl Gabriel, Victoria's estranged husband, presumed dead in World War I, but later, rumors circulated that he had survived. Could he have returned, seeking revenge for some perceived slight? Or was it a stranger, drawn to the isolated farmstead for reasons unknown? The absence of a clear motive contributes to the enduring mystery of Hinterkaifeck, leaving us with only unsettling questions and a palpable sense of unease. This methodical brutality, coupled with the prolonged presence of the killer in the house after the murders, paints a portrait of a truly disturbed individual.
The Hinterkaifeck farm murders are truly chilling, not just for the brutality, but for the unsettling lead-up. Days before the massacre, Andreas Gruber, the patriarch, started noticing strange occurrences around the property. Footprints in the fresh snow leading from the woods to the farm, but none leading back. He found an unfamiliar newspaper on the kitchen table, a publication no one in the family subscribed to. And then there were the stories of a set of house keys going missing, never to be found. These seemingly insignificant details began to paint a picture of an unseen presence lurking around the farm, someone watching, waiting. Andreas confided in his neighbors about these unsettling events, voicing his suspicion of an intruder. Little did he know, these were not random occurrences, but the first chilling signs of a sinister plot unfolding, a prelude to the horrifying events about to befall his family.
The unsettling feeling permeated the household. The family's maid, Maria Baumgartner, had literally just quit her job the day before the murders, citing an uneasy feeling about the place, claiming it was haunted. This sudden departure added another layer of peculiarity to the already strange atmosphere. It's as if she sensed the impending doom, a premonition perhaps. Imagine being so disturbed by something unseen that you flee your place of employment, only to have your replacement brutally murdered alongside the family just a day later. The timing is almost impossibly eerie. It leaves you wondering what Maria Baumgartner sensed, what she felt that drove her away, and whether her escape was a matter of pure luck or something more unsettling. The missing keys, the strange footprints, the unidentified newspaper. These details weren't just odd, they hinted at a deliberate and calculated plan, a stalker familiarizing themselves with the farm and its inhabitants.
Exactly, the meticulous nature of these seemingly insignificant events is what truly disturbs me. The intruder, whoever they were, spent a considerable amount of time observing the family, understanding their routines, and essentially making themselves at home in their space undetected. They likely stayed hidden in the attic for days, possibly even longer. Imagine the family, completely oblivious to the fact that an unknown person was sharing their home, watching their every move, waiting for the opportune moment. This level of premeditation and the audacity to inhabit the victim's space before committing such a horrific crime is truly terrifying. It transforms the murders from a simple act of violence into something far more sinister. a calculated and methodical act of depravity.
And there's the added layer of the locked doors. After the murders, every door to the farm buildings was found locked from the inside. This chilling detail suggests the perpetrator remained on the premises for some time after committing the murders, possibly tending to the livestock, even eating food from the kitchen. This wasn't just a quick in-and-out killing. It was a prolonged and deliberate act, the killer seemingly unfazed by the gruesome scene they had created. The question remains, why? Why linger after such a brutal act? Was it a display of dominance? A twisted sense of ownership over the farm and the lives they had taken? Or something even more disturbing, a desire to savor the aftermath of their horrific deed? The locked doors solidify the sense of a chillingly meticulous and utterly depraved mind at work.
The Hinterkaifeck murders are baffling. 6 people brutally murdered with a mattock, a farm tool typically used for gardening. The family, including a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, found dead in their beds in the barn. The maid, who had arrived only hours before, also met the same gruesome fate. What's truly disturbing is the evidence pointing to the perpetrator staying on the farm for several days following the murders. Someone fed the cattle, ate food from the kitchen, and even someone or something kept the fire going in the stove. It's as if the killer wanted to maintain a semblance of normalcy after committing such a horrific act. The motive remains shrouded in mystery. Robbery seems unlikely as valuables were left untouched. A family feud? Perhaps. But nothing concrete points to a specific individual with a strong enough motive for such savagery.
The pre-murder events are just as unsettling. Months before the massacre, Andreas Gruber, the patriarch, reported strange occurrences around the farm. Unexplained footprints in the snow leading to the house, but none leading away. A misplaced newspaper. He even mentioned hearing footsteps in the attic and finding an unfamiliar set of keys. He confided in neighbors about his belief that the farm was haunted. Dismissing these events as mere coincidence seems naive, given the horrific outcome. It's almost as if an unseen entity was lurking, observing, waiting for the opportune moment. These seemingly small, insignificant events now take on a sinister meaning, casting a long, dark shadow over the already grim narrative. It's like pieces of a puzzle we desperately try to assemble, knowing the completed picture will be horrific.
The lack of a clear suspect and the bizarre circumstances surrounding the Hinterkaifeck murders have fueled numerous theories, some bordering on the supernatural. Some speculate that the perpetrator was someone familiar with the family, someone who knew the layout of the farm and could move around undetected. Others suggest a more sinister explanation, attributing the murders to a vengeful spirit or a demonic entity. While these theories may seem far-fetched, the sheer strangeness of the case leaves room for speculation beyond conventional explanations. The fact that the murders remain unsolved after all these years only deepens the mystery and adds another layer of unsettling intrigue. How could someone commit such a heinous act and simply vanish without a trace?
Exactly. And the subsequent investigations, even with modern forensic techniques, have yielded no conclusive answers. The mattock, the murder weapon, provided no usable fingerprints. The killer seemingly left no trace, aside from maintaining the farm's daily routines, which is perhaps the most disturbing aspect. It implies a level of comfort, a chilling disregard for human life. It's as though the murderer felt entitled to remain on the property, almost as if they were inheriting the farm in the most gruesome way imaginable. This adds another layer of complexity to the already bewildering case. We are left with a void, a vacuum of understanding filled only with unsettling questions and disturbing possibilities.
The sheer brutality of the Hinterkaifeck murders is difficult to comprehend. Imagine Andreas Gruber, his wife Cäzilia, their widowed daughter Viktoria, and her 2 children, Cäzilia and Josef, all bludgeoned to death in their own home. The killer, or killers, remained on the farm for several days after the murders. They fed the cattle, ate food from the pantry, even slept in the house. This detail, this unnerving domesticity amidst the carnage, paints a truly chilling picture. It suggests a level of comfort, a twisted sense of belonging, that is deeply disturbing. What kind of mind could commit such heinous acts, and then calmly carry on with everyday tasks in the very space where the horrors unfolded? The lack of a clear motive, the absence of forced entry, and the seemingly personal nature of the attacks only deepen the mystery.
The days leading up to the murders were filled with unsettling occurrences, adding another layer of unease to this already horrifying case. Andreas Gruber reported finding strange footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the farm, but none leading back. He also mentioned hearing footsteps in the attic and discovering a misplaced newspaper. These incidents suggest someone was lurking around the property, observing the family, perhaps even planning the attacks. The family's maid had quit 6 months prior, claiming the farm was haunted. This adds a chilling, almost supernatural element to the narrative. Were these just coincidences, or were they signs of something more sinister at play? The uncertainty surrounding these events further fuels the unsettling nature of the Hinterkaifeck murders. They transform the case from a simple, though brutal crime into something far more unsettling.
The discovery of the bodies adds yet another horrific layer to this story. The family was found days after the murders, tucked away in the hayloft. The scene must have been utterly gruesome. The thought of the killer, or killers, spending days on the farm after the murders, living amongst the deceased, is beyond disturbing. It speaks to a complete lack of empathy, a chilling detachment from the sanctity of human life. This act transcends mere violence and enters the realm of pure depravity. The fact that the perpetrator was never identified, never brought to justice, only amplifies the horror. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows, a chilling testament to the unsolved mysteries that continue to haunt us.
And let's not forget the detail of the killer lighting the stove each day after the murders. Smoke was seen rising from the chimney, meals were apparently prepared and eaten. This implies a disturbingly intimate knowledge of the farmhouse, and a brazen disregard for the consequences. It's as if the perpetrator was staking a claim, establishing a perverse dominion over the property and the lives they had so brutally taken. This cold, calculated behavior, coupled with the pre-murder occurrences, paints a picture of a predator meticulously planning and executing their horrific act. The unknown element, the lack of a definitive motive, and the chilling aftermath solidify the Hinterkaifeck murders as one of the most disturbing unsolved crimes in history.
The Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of the most chilling unsolved crimes of the 20th century. 6 people brutally murdered on a remote Bavarian farmstead, and the killer lived among them for days, possibly even weeks after the act. But what makes this case truly disturbing is the emerging narrative of a dark backstory, a secret festering within the Gruber family itself. Andreas Gruber, the patriarch, had a reputation for cruelty, and rumors of incest with his daughter, Viktoria Gabriel, circulated throughout the small community. This was further complicated by the fact that Viktoria's illegitimate daughter, 2-year-old Cäzilia, lived on the farm. Some believe the killer may have been seeking revenge for Viktoria, or perhaps eliminating witnesses to a terrible secret. This incestuous relationship could have created a pressure cooker environment within the family, leading to a violent eruption. The question remains, was this an outsider driven by twisted motives? Or was it a family member consumed by their own dark secrets?
The timeline leading up to the murders adds another layer of unease. A few days prior, the previous maid abruptly quit, claiming the farm was haunted. She spoke of unexplained footsteps in the attic, objects moving on their own, and an overwhelming sense of dread. Then there were the strange footprints in the snow, leading from the forest to the farm, but no footprints leading back. This detail has fueled countless supernatural theories, ranging from malevolent spirits to vengeful entities. While we can't discount these possibilities entirely in a case as bizarre as this, we must also consider more grounded explanations. Perhaps the footprints belonged to the killer, carefully covering their tracks after the murders. Or maybe they were unrelated altogether, a chilling coincidence that further shrouds the case in mystery. The interplay of these seemingly paranormal occurrences with the very real horror of the murders creates a uniquely disturbing narrative.
And then there's the chilling detail of the meticulously arranged bodies. Each victim was found in the barn, covered with hay. This suggests not just a brutal act of violence, but a deliberate attempt to conceal the bodies, perhaps to prolong the killer's stay on the farm. Why stay? What was the killer's motive beyond the murders themselves? Was it simply to enjoy the fruits of their gruesome labor, taking over the farm and living undisturbed for a time? Or was there something more sinister at play, a ritualistic element to the killings and the subsequent concealment? This calculated nature of the crime suggests a level of premeditation that is deeply unsettling. It paints a picture of someone not driven by a sudden burst of rage, but by a cold, calculated plan.
The fact that the livestock were cared for and food was prepared in the days following the murders speaks volumes about the killer's audacity. They weren't just hiding. They were living a perversely normal existence amidst the horror they created. This suggests a disturbing level of comfort within the farm environment, lending credence to the theory of someone familiar with the family and their routines. Could it have been a disgruntled former farmhand, seeking revenge for perceived injustices? Or someone even closer, driven by a motive so twisted and personal that it defies rational explanation? The very ordinariness of their actions in the wake of such extraordinary violence is what makes it so deeply chilling. It suggests a detachment from reality, a chilling indifference to human life that sets this case apart.
It's a chilling thought, isn't it? 6 people brutally murdered in their beds, and to this day we're still grappling with the sheer strangeness of it all. The Hinterkaifeck farm, isolated and vulnerable, becomes a macabre stage for a crime that defies easy explanation. We've discussed the potential motives, from robbery gone wrong to a family feud, yet none of them seem to fully fit. The meticulous nature of the murders, the killer's apparent familiarity with the farm layout, the days leading up to the massacre filled with unsettling occurrences, the footsteps in the snow, the unfamiliar newspaper, the displaced key, all point to something more sinister, more premeditated. It's as if the perpetrator was not only intent on killing but on instilling a profound sense of dread and unease, a psychological torment that extends beyond the grave and reaches us even now, decades later. What do you make of the theory that the killer remained on the farm for several days after the murders?
That aspect of the Hinterkaifeck case is perhaps the most unsettling. The killer, or killers, stayed on the farm, tending to the livestock, eating the family's food, even sleeping in their beds. This detail paints a portrait of a disturbed mind, someone not simply driven by rage or greed, but by something far more twisted, a compulsion to possess, to dominate, to desecrate the lives they had taken. It raises questions about the psychological profile of the perpetrator. Were they seeking a perverse sense of control? Was it a ritualistic act? Or perhaps a desperate attempt to maintain a semblance of normalcy in the aftermath of such horrific violence? The fact that the killer meticulously covered the bodies of the victims with hay in the barn further adds to the chilling tableau, suggesting an attempt to conceal the crime, but also perhaps a strange, almost ceremonial act. It's a macabre puzzle piece that continues to baffle investigators and fuel speculation to this day.
And that's where we reach our impasse, isn't it? We have a wealth of details, a tapestry woven with threads of the bizarre and the brutal, but the picture remains incomplete. We've explored the possible suspects, from the former maid's jealous husband to the mysterious man seen lurking in the woods, yet none of these leads have yielded conclusive answers. The lack of a definitive motive, coupled with the killer's seemingly meticulous planning and execution, creates a chilling ambiguity that hangs over the case like a shroud. It's almost as if the killer vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a legacy of fear and unanswered questions. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of the seemingly ordinary, a testament to the enduring power of the unknown.
The true horror of Hinterkaifeck, I believe, lies not only in the brutal act itself, but in the chilling unknown. The absence of a clear resolution, the lack of a definitive answer to the question of why, transforms the case into something far more unsettling than a simple solved crime. It becomes a haunting reminder of the fragility of life, the vulnerability of isolated communities, and the enduring power of mystery. The Hinterkaifeck murders don't just tell a story of a gruesome crime. They whisper of the inexplicable, the chilling possibilities that lie just beyond the realm of our understanding. And perhaps that is the most terrifying aspect of all, the chilling realization that some doors are best left unopened, some questions best left unanswered. This case, in its unresolved state, forces us to confront the unsettling truth that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we never truly see.
So, we've meticulously dissected the Hinterkaifeck murders, examining every fragment of evidence, every whispered rumor, every chilling detail. 6 lives brutally extinguished in a remote Bavarian farmstead. A family, along with their maid, wiped out with a mattock likely from their own toolshed. The killer remained on the farm for days, feeding the cattle, eating the family's food, even winding the grandfather clock. And then, they vanished without a trace. No clear motive, no confirmed suspect, no definitive explanation. It's a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the quietest of places. The fact that this crime remains unsolved, nearly a century later, adds another layer of unease. It allows the horror to fester, to take root in the imagination, and to whisper the unsettling question. Could something like this happen again, anywhere, anytime? The Hinterkaifeck tragedy serves as a stark testament to the enduring power of unanswered questions and the chilling reality of unresolved horror.
The Hinterkaifeck murders represent a truly perplexing enigma. We have explored the possible involvement of the previous maid, who left the farm claiming it was haunted, the strange footprints in the snow leading to the farm but not away, and the whispers of a potential family feud. Yet none of these threads have led to a conclusive answer. The killer's audacity to remain on the farm for days after the massacre, performing mundane tasks like feeding the livestock, is deeply disturbing. It speaks to a level of comfort, perhaps even familiarity, with the surroundings. Or perhaps, something more sinister, a perverse desire to prolong the horror, to savor the aftermath of their gruesome act. The absence of a clear motive only amplifies the terror. Were they driven by greed, revenge, madness, or something else entirely? The silence surrounding this case is deafening, and it allows the chilling details to echo through time, haunting us with the realization that some horrors may never be fully explained.
The psychological implications of the Hinterkaifeck murders are truly unsettling. Imagine the terror those victims must have felt in their final moments. The isolation of the farmstead, the encroaching darkness, the brutal efficiency of the attack, and then, the prolonged silence afterwards. The killer's unseen presence lurking within the very walls of their home, turning the familiar into a scene of unimaginable horror. The lack of closure, the absence of a satisfying explanation, adds to the enduring sense of dread. It forces us to confront the possibility that some acts of violence are so deeply rooted in darkness that they defy rational understanding. The Hinterkaifeck murders serve as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of unanswered questions to haunt us, generation after generation.
And so, the mystery of Hinterkaifeck remains, a chilling testament to the enduring power of the unknown. The unanswered questions, the eerie details, the sheer brutality of the crime continue to grip our collective imagination, reminding us that some horrors may never be fully explained. As we conclude our exploration of this disturbing case, let us remember the 6 victims, their lives tragically cut short in the isolated Bavarian countryside. And perhaps, as you drift off to sleep tonight, consider the chilling possibility that some doors are best left unopened, some secrets best left undisturbed. The darkness, after all, holds many unsettling truths.
That was this week's Dive into Darkness. Subscribe to the 18+ Horror Podcast and come back if you can sleep again.
You've been listening to Whispers After Midnight. Sweet dreams, if you can sleep.